Everyone, welcome back to my channel, Life and Literature. I'm Emily and today I'm going to be reviewing After We Fell by Anna Todd. If this is something you'd be interested in, then please keep on watching. I did actually put a poll out on my Instagram page at Life Literature if you want to follow. Link and details are down below. So I wanted to see what book I should review next, what people would be interested in, and they picked After We Fell by Anna Todd. It's probably the most watched on my channel, my review, so I'm quite excited to get into the next one. So I have read all the books, as I've said before, and I'm going to be doing a spoiler video. I need to get into so many different plot lines with this book and my opinion of them, and I don't think there is a way to do it without spoilers. I feel like a first book or any kind of book, you can beat around the bush, you can just talk about some of the characters, but by this point there is so much development with each and every single one of them. The way the story progresses is a really big emotional roller coaster. I think Anna Todd must have had millions of notes of all the different things that were going on, because I can't tell you, it was really hard to keep track of. It's a really big chunky book. It is bigger than the last two, and I feel like Anna Todd just had so many emotions and so many avenues she wanted to go down with this book. I'm not surprised. They're like, Tessa and Hardin are amazingly intricate, fun and deep characters, so I'm not surprised that she would want to go into a whole different avenue of different things. But it made some of the story hard to keep following because there is just so much. Now I know by the time this video goes out, the second book film trailer is going to be out, which I'm very excited to watch and see what they're going to do with the second book as a film. But I honestly don't know if they get green-lighted to do a third film, which I hope they do. I don't know how this is going to be one film, and there is another book after this. So I really don't know. I'll be quite interested to see, and I know Anna Todd has been very much involved with both films, so it'd be quite interesting to see what plots they like to keep on to. But let's stop rambling and get into the book itself. So with this book there is a lot going on. I'm going to just crack straight into it rather than reading the blurb, because the blurb I elaborate on some of the things that it actually says. So we start off from the last book. Hardin's just got a tattoo for Tessa to show how serious he is with her. She is wanting to move to Seattle. She wants to follow Vance Publishing with them over to Seattle because it is her dream, like it's her dream job. I'm not surprised that she's really doing well there, and that's where she wants to go and create like her adult life. But when she is walking down the street with Hardin, she comes to face with her dad. Now, if you've read the previous two books, you know that Tessa's relationship with her dad is pretty much non-existent. She was quite young when he abandoned her and her mum. I think she has a lot of upset and turmoil towards what happened, and I don't think really you get the sense that her mum probably ever talked about him or really talked about him in a very nice way. But when she becomes face to face with him, it's Tessa, her heart just opens to everything and anyone that is anything important to her. So I'm not surprised that she asks him and invites him round to her and Hardin's flat or apartment to kind of just see if he's okay, give him some food, let him have a nice shower and clean up and that kind of thing, because I think the realisation of seeing him on the streets homeless really takes her back. And I feel like her deep love and big heart jump in and they just want to help. And obviously she hasn't seen him. She's still loves him and wishes she had a bigger and stronger relationship with him. And I feel like as the story's been progressing with Hardin and his dad getting more of a relationship, I think she's realised that that is something she wish she could be involved in, that she could be doing that with her own dad. And sadly, Richard, you kind of come to realise that he is a little bit not all there. He's a bit erratic. He just seems a bit on edge. Just something's not there, but Tessa doesn't really see it. She doesn't realise that's what's going on. I think Hardin is more aware that Tessa's going to get heartbroken by something, and Hardin actually is honest with Tessa and openly says to her, like, I think this isn't going to end well, which obviously Tessa just dismisses. But I think Hardin realises his own issues. He knows what he deals with, and he kind of probably sees a bit of that in Tessa's dad, Richard. And I think he's just at that moment just looking out for Tessa. He doesn't want this to affect them or to affect her, because obviously they have been through a lot. So along with this whole storyline, you've also got the fact that Tessa is wanting to move. She's going to Seattle, and she really wanted Hardin to go with her. Sadly, he did say he didn't want to, and I think because Hardin being allowed now in the second book and this book to see his point of view a lot more, I think it's shown his depth. It's shown him he does grow and he is learning from different situations. You can see how much he loves Tessa and the way he thinks and feels about her, but he just can't always express it. And I feel like in the second book you do slightly feel him quite cold, quite narcissistic, quite mean. But then when you start to unravel his own point of view, you can be in his head with him whilst he's going through these experiences. It makes him a lot more relatable. It makes him a lot more vulnerable, and it gets really emotional in some situations where he feels so strongly, yet he just can't open that up yet. And sadly there is this lovely side to him which he doesn't always get to fully show, but on the same hand he can still be quite mean and quite rude. And I think majorly he doesn't really take responsibility for his actions, and I feel like a major part of that is the fact his dad is quite an important person, quite a respected person at his school. But at the same time I just think because of the way he was brought up, the situations he encountered when he was younger, I think no one really has never given it to him straight. No one kind of stands up to him except for Tessa, and obviously she receives the repercussions of that. But he is learning, he is growing, I think. And I do love reading his character. But it is at the same time you just kind of want to pull him and shake him and just say, like, just you want to kind of show him that he can fully express himself, because there's a lot of times him and Tessa, a lot of things get unspoken, and that then cause rifts and issues later on. And a big part of that is obviously with Seattle, they don't really fully talk about it till the incident occurs where they go on holiday. They go on a trip with London and his family, and while they're there, sadly, Tessa realises Hardin has actually got in contact with the estate agent that is dealing with, or was helping her get the apartment in Seattle, so she had somewhere to live. And sadly Hardin actually intercepted that, and he ended up sabotaging her place to stay. And I think it's only a few days or a week or so before she's actually supposed to go. So rather than really talking to her properly about it and understanding this is a really big decision for her and it's something she strongly wants. She's not letting her relationship with Hardin affect that. She knows what she wants to do and she wants to pursue that. And rather than Hardin being either honest with how he feels about it, taking responsibility that he's the one that doesn't want to go and he can't force her to stay, he's rather just taken it upon himself to get involved and stop it, which I think Tessa realises that in some ways he has learned so much, but in others he really just thinks he can just take hold of the situation and fix it so that it benefits him, which is quite horrible because then they obviously have quite a big argument. He storms off and that's where he meets Lillian. So Lillian's a new character. You learn that she's got her own issues. Some of the way she talks I think are very similar to Hardin. It's quite interesting to see them talk to each other. It's almost like you can imagine if Hardin had a sister, that's who it'd be. Just so the way she is, and you learn that she's having some issues with her girlfriend and she kind of gives Hardin a few like home truths and kind of just says it straight to him because they don't know each other. Like Hardin opens up quite a lot to a stranger, I think because he doesn't really give a flying who who it is, because at the end of the day I think the only one he really cares about the opinion of is Tessa, which is why he holds back so much on what he says to her. But sadly he does the wrong thing, invites her to a family meal in front of Tessa and is quite friendly with Lillian, who obviously doesn't realise fully the situation, I don't think. And obviously Tessa gets very upset, very angry at the whole experience because Hardin's kind of proven to her he hasn't really matured. He's just using someone to kind of almost make a point to embarrass and upset Tessa, which is obviously not what she wants. It's not why she went away with his family, and she ends up having to walk off. Luckily she finds a little friend who was one of the waiters that served the family, and they end up having a nice little chat, which was quite sweet. It's quite endearing to see her just relax and just chat. Like there was just, for a moment, it's almost, you get it in film sometimes where there's just a moment where you can just breathe. There's nothing dramatic, there's no pain, there's no upset, there's no love, there's no heartache. It's just a moment you can breathe. And Anna Todd does it quite well throughout the book, that even though there's so much drama, so much heartache and pain, there's these little moments where you can just, as a reader, breathe and think the main character's just taking a second to deal with just a normal situation, which obviously in a book, throughout a book, wouldn't be fun to read. But them little tiny moments you get here and there, it gives you a moment to digest everything that's going on. You create your own opinion about the situation and then you'll go into the next scene. But because of everything that unfolds, Tessa and Hardin break up, which is, it's not unexpected. You kind of know that's kind of what's going to happen because they're kind of moving in really different paths. And Tessa's really growing up and maturing, and Hardin's going at a bit of a slower pace with it. Now, after all of this family drama, all this relationship drama, you would think, what else could Anna Todd think could cause any more issues or drama? And she thinks of it. She thinks of it. Of course she does. She is a wizard, because you finally think, okay, the father's kind of been dealt with. We know what's going on with him. We know what's going on with her job. We know what's going on with, like, Hardin and their relationship. Then you get completely bulldozed with a party where an interaction happens. Now, if you have watched this full video and you haven't actually read the book, before you read the book you should be pre-warned. There is scenes of quite a sinister nature, but you learn that Steph is a nasty, vindictive, just horrible piece of work, and it's really sad because you think throughout this she's kind of created a friend. They're not close friends, they're not as close as she is with Landon, but sadly, very sadly, they have a situation where they drug, or I think it's drug, I don't remember it being alcohol. I think it was they gave Tessa something that made her go quite woozy. She kind of was blacking out, she wasn't fully able to stand up, and they bring her to a room, and in the process a guy is there, as well as Steph and Molly, and Steph has a camera and she has full intention to let this guy do things to Tessa whilst they film it, and they, I assume, were going to then show it to a bunch of people, humiliate her, terrorise her with that. And it was really, really hard to read. It was really disturbing, really upsetting, and I can see on one hand why Anna Todd likes to, she's done throughout the book, do something very shocking. It's a huge shock factor, but at the same time, as a reader, I personally don't like these kinds of books that have that quite a, usually it's, they'll have that as quite a big plot line, but Anna Todd kind of put it as like a subplot in the book because there is so much going on. So along with this going on, they have locked the room, people can't get in, there's kind of some disturbance. You're kind of, because you are in Tessa's point of view, you are hearing this in and out of her spacing out. She can't move, she can't get up, she can't talk, she can't stop them. So it's really hard. She's kind of stuck in a situation. She can hear them, what they're saying, what they're going to do. And luckily, you have Molly, who ends up not liking the idea. She starts to worry and starts to think this isn't right. And I think she realised the severity of what they were about to do. It's all fun and jokes when they're just pretending that this could happen and to humiliate her, but at the same time, when it starts to progress and be real and this girl is in front of her, she realises that this isn't right. And luckily they go and get people, they unlock the room, they get Tessa out of there and get Tessa safe. And obviously this is really traumatising for Tessa because it is a huge invasion of privacy, because they were going to obviously do sexual things with her. B, it's a massive breach of trust, and she realises Steph was just not being her friend. She learns that Steph actually was faking and pretending. She hated Tessa, and there is more development with that. I think personally, they don't even fully explain it, but I think personally, Molly evidently was in love with Hardin. You could see it, you could feel it in their situations and their interactions. I think because they had intimate relationship, but he kind of just used her, I think Molly really almost believed that he would change, if for anyone, for her, because she had been there with him and kind of been his almost rock in some ways, maybe not emotionally but definitely intimately. And for her to kind of be discarded, I think makes her feel very worthless as a person, and that story is probably the most true for most, not most, but some relationships where girls and guys get used, and sadly the other person goes on and then ends up having a relationship and you end up feeling discarded. And I think Molly is probably the most relatable in the situation, that you could never understand what they were going to do, but I think Molly, you almost expected her to do something to kind of get back at Tessa for making her the subject of a bit of humiliation and heartbreak. But I think she realised the severity of what they were going to do and luckily got herself out of the situation. But Steph was a huge curveball. I did not see it coming. There was little moments I thought she was being a bit rude and a bit cold towards Tessa in other interactions in the other books. But never to the point that I thought she was really angry and hated Tessa. And I think even, obviously, Tessa's completely surprised. All the characters are really surprised. Even I think Hardin knew that Steph wasn't really being honest, but never really progressed or looked into it. I think there's subtlety throughout with that relationship, but I think Steph really couldn't bear the fault that of all people Hardin wanted to be with, he wanted to be with someone like Tessa. And it's really horrible because that's when this like nasty mentality of almost, you can imagine her building up in her head that Tessa was this good girl and nice and smart, and she just couldn't understand how Hardin would want to be with someone like that. And I think it was a bit of jealousy. I think they may have not had a relationship as such, but I think Steph got a bit used to Hardin being around and wanting to go out with them and do stupid stuff and drink and kind of mess about. And I think, again, like Molly, they just couldn't understand that Hardin didn't want that lifestyle. He was broken and they were taking advantage of that, in my opinion. So that was a whole huge storyline that kind of happened like throughout all these other ones, and it makes you really feel for Tessa. I feel like with Hardin getting his point of view, in some ways Tessa kind of loses a bit of her sensible nature. She gets drunk, she has kissed other guys. I think by this point she'd kissed another guy. Her and Hardin have this back and forth constantly. I feel like in some ways Tessa's starting to lose her squeaky clean kind of appeal, and this is kind of like another boost to her character, which I'm sure that's not what Anna Todd was. I don't know, Anna Todd might have been doing that to kind of bring Tessa back down to a level where you really love and care for her again, because you never stop caring for Tessa. You never want anything bad to happen to her, because evidently you're 3 books in, you're not going to be reading it. Well, some people might, just for Hardin. I think their actual joint relationship, both of them, bring a lot to the plate, and it's quite sad that the constant issues that happened regarding her father, regarding Hardin's betrayal and sabotage, like it's just a complete emotional roller coaster. So I do love this book. I love the series. I think it is very interesting. It's very in depth. It is very dramatic. I can't imagine anyone's life has endured this much drama. I'm sure I'm probably wrong, but I do love this series. I do think if you haven't read the books, you need to. I'm definitely going to reread the second one before the second film comes out. I'm just fingers crossed that it's going to come to the UK, because it took its good time last year to finally come to the UK, so we'll see. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked this video, then please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done already, and I will see you soon in the next one. Okay, bye.